Well, that winning run lasted a while, didn't it? Welcome back to the Sam JW channel. Oxford United once again lose away from home on Friday night under the lights at Vicarage Road. A 1-0 loss to Watford. At least we're not in the relegation zone yet. But yes, it finished Oxford United 0, Watford 1. The goal coming 10 minutes after the restart, and we'll obviously get into that. But look, this was a really it's a tricky one to evaluate, because I think there are definitely some arguments to say that we were worthy of a point in this game. The quality of chances we created, again, we'll get into that as usual in a minute. It was the best atmosphere that we've created so far this season, non-stop. Even when Watford scored, we kept singing, but just couldn't get the reward. Lineup, of course, is what we'll start with. Des maintained the 5 at the back, Jamie Cumming obviously retaining his spot in goal, Peter Kioso and Craig Lee as the fullbacks, Sam Long, Elliot Moore and Kieran Brown in the centre of the defence. Also maintaining their places were Josh McEachran and Will Vaulks as the double sixes, Ruben Rodriguez, Tyler Goodrum and Dane Scarlett making up the final 3 spots in that 11. Look, I mentioned it last time out. I think maybe away from home, especially at these tricky grounds, a 5 at the back is the way to go. But what we did see is, for the most part, it did really affect our chance creation. We did create a fair number of opportunities in this game, but as a whole, there does seem to be a bit of an issue going from those 2 6s up to the 2 10s, acting as the wingers in Goodrum and in Rodriguez. Of course, Kioso and Lee are providing very good width, but it's just getting the ball out to them and then having the man in the centre of the area to slot it home. You know, overall, I'm pretty happy with kind of the lineup. Every player, I think, performed pretty decently. But look, you know, this is a side that were in the playoffs when the game began on Friday night, and you know they're up there. I mean, a lot of Oxford fans are kind of railing against this game, but we can't also forget this is a side that have had 3 years of parachute payments to their name. And have been in the Premier League before that. Like, this Watford team have a lot of money to build their squad. Obviously there's some things going with Watford's ownership, but yeah, this is a squad with, you know, 3 years of parachute payments under the belt. The money, you know, the players bought in to build this side. Obviously there's been a little bit of comings and goings, but you know, it's a better side than we've got, and to only lose 1-0, as I think is a pretty decent result, especially considering when we look at the stats in a minute, we maybe could have been 3-0 down with the chance they were creating that first half. Looking at those stats, so in the first half, Watford obviously shaded the control of the game, as you'd expect, with it being on their home patch. Though we were no mugs, you know, created some pretty decent chances. This one mainly coming from Kioso, I think it is, who flashes the cross across the face of goal. Bachman, who's completely beaten, but Dane Scarlett can't get on the end of it. There was this kind of period, I think, if we look at the momentum chart, where we kind of, some pretty decent chances were being created, better chances than Watford were creating for all of their possession in the game. But yeah, you know, neither side could find that opening goal. There was 1 or 2, I think it was. There was a really good chance that Watford had in this first half. This one from Loser. Ball comes in, it's knocked away, and the Loser hits it pretty sweetly, but it's well saved by Jamie Cumming. There was a couple of chances that don't come up on FotMob's shot map, and that's where they really tried to put the crosses underneath Jamie Cumming, and he just managed to tip them over the bar, thankfully for us. But yeah, you know, like I say, I think it's neither side, you know, had the quality to put the ball in the back of the net, but, you know, the chances were pretty decent and they could have had the lead. Second half, this is when things kind of, from our standpoint, get a little bit frustrating and the kind of quality of chance we were missing. If you look at the first half, I'm surprised that Dane Scarlett doesn't count as a big missed chance, but neither side creating any big chances. Second half then, they produce a 1.59 XG, we produce 1.31. They have 13 shots with 7 on target, we have 6 and 3, but they create 2 big chances, scoring one of them. We create 3 and miss every single one. We'll get into some of those chances in a minute, but there's so many opportunities we need to start taking, really. You know, the reality is that, you know, in moments we look really good. It's just when it comes to that final product, we haven't quite got it. Of course, the ball from, or the goal I should say, from Bayo comes from Dane Scarlett giving away possession. Tries to feed it out to Gregley on the left hand side. It's intercepted, brought forward, and it's fizzed across from Bayo, who has his first shot saved by Jamie Cumming. The second, Jamie Cumming is so unlucky not to get there. He and Sam Long try their best to keep it out, but it just bounces off of Jamie Cumming into the back of our net. The Watford fans, for the only time in the game, make some noise. You know, the warning signs were there. They were producing chance after chance in the kind of 5 minutes after the restart. I'm not going to put it all on Dane Scarlett, that ball, because there's a lot that goes wrong after Dane Scarlett gives away possession. But like I say, it's also, you know, Jamie Cumming gets very, very unlucky with the bounce it takes off of him. But, you know, you've got to credit Bayo for following up and you know, making sure that after his first striker save he's there, because a lot of strikers, you know, will freeze in that instance and will kind of assume that the first shot's gone in and kind of not go to follow up, and then it's cleared, and then Watford might be ruining that opportunity. Obviously, you can see just a number of chances here. Watford continually piling on pressure. Another big chance there from Bayo. There's so many in this little 6-yard or just outside the 6-yard area. You know, they could have had 2 or 3 goals, this Watford side, if they were more clinical on the day. I mean, it's interesting because these longer shots, this especially from KMB, it's a decent bit of work. I believe it's down Watford's left-hand side. It fits into him, and he tries to drive it down low. Jamie Cumming does really, really well to save it. But, you know, that was very much, you know, I think Watford smelt blood in the water after they got that opener, trying to kill off the game. But we weren't out of it at that point. I mean, there's a couple of big opportunities. Harris, obviously, we'll get on to Mark Harris in a minute, putting over the bar. Sam Long having his shot saved. Elliot Moore having one blocked in the 95th minute. This one from Hidatura Vest. Look, it's easy to say that, you know, he should be scoring in that. It's an easier chance, I'd say, than the one he scored against Hull. But you've got to give credit to Bachmann for his positioning, for getting right in front of Hidatura Vest to make the save. This one from Mark Harris, it's not that one, it's this one from Mark Harris, is a golden opportunity. I don't know why he's gone to try and put it round the goalkeeper when he should just try and chip it over his head. But yeah, it was indicative of Mark Harris is a player with not a lot of confidence right now. So looking at the lineup, obviously Jamie Cumming, I think, has got Fotman's man of the match, was probably our man of the match. Some of the saves he made were sensational. You know, if you look back, you know, almost 12 months to Jamie Cumming after he'd just come in from Chelsea, this a goalkeeper we were all going, oh, I'm not sure if he's kind of up to snuff in League One, and he's proved it time and time again in the Championship. He buried us or he dug us out of us burying ourselves. Even when we lose games, he's having sensational performances. But that is indicative of we're allowing too many shots and too many in our, the 18 yards out, 6-yard box. The reality is that we just need to be better. I think the back three were fairly decent. Sam Long and Elliot Moore, very, very sturdy, stable performances from those two. Kieran Brown, I thought this was maybe one of his weaker games. There was a lot of times he'd drift out wide, and Greg or Will or McEachran would have to come in and make up for him. It's quite possible that's obviously this is a Kieran Brown that's been playing mainly left back this campaign, so he's forgotten what it is like. What's it like to play centre back, or at least that wide of a back three. I think Peter Kioso was fairly good in that first half, kind of started to drift in that second half. Greg was overall really good. Obviously, he's not able to get the ball that leads to Watford's goal, but his work rate, you can never criticise Greg Lee about his work rate. The lad will run his socks off, undoubtedly, and it's really nice to see, because a lot of us were fearing that Greg might be off in the summer, but he's stuck around. He's earned his spot, and I don't think that he can be dropped at this moment. Will Vaulks, this was a really sturdy performance, I think, from Will. Best performance since Brannigan's been out. I think I said before that having McEachran, having that stable ball player next to him, he's so much better for it, because it kind of takes the pressure of when an opposition player is coming on, so he can move it to McEachran. McEachran can then make those Hollywood-esque passes. I thought it was a really, really assured performance by Will Vaulks, and his work rate seemed to be a lot higher against Watford than it has been so far this season. Maybe he's had a look at himself and gone, I need to be working a little bit harder, and having someone alongside him that can play the ball better, I think has been really, really beneficial for Will Vaulks. McEachran obviously comes off with an hour gone, because we know Josh McEachran just can't play a full 90, I should say, of football. Fairly steady performance from McEachran. Obviously a lot of sideways and backwards passes, but really that's what he's here to do. And he needs movement ahead of him to be able to make them more Hollywood passes that he's also very good at. Goodrum and Rodriguez. Goodrum I thought was good in the first half, faded in the second half. Ruben ran his socks off, much like Greg Lee. I thought Ruben looked really good. There was one or two chances that Ruben had to shoot. They just don't come off at all. And I think maybe Ruben has to stay in. I've obviously been going back and forth in these videos about who starts at the 10 a week. Go with Sibley. Sibley's now out for 5 to 6 weeks. Goodrum, do we keep Rodriguez? I think Ruben, with that performance on Friday, has kind of warranted that he should start after the international break. Dane Scarlett ran his socks off in that first half, really faded in the second half. I can understand that. Obviously you've got to remember a lot of these lads are playing 3 games in 6 days or so. It's natural that a lot of them will start to fade. Obviously that chance across the face of goal, it's not just Mark Harris missing those chances. I'm not sure how you solve that, because obviously we've got Will Goodwin, who's a lot bigger than Harris and also bigger than Scarlett, but you then give up the athleticism and the mobility of Dane Scarlett and Mark Harris. Subs, El Mazzuni came on. I didn't notice him for the first 10 minutes he was on. He didn't do an awful lot, Idris El Mazzuni. Mark Harris, like I say, this is a lad that's completely devoid of confidence at the minute. Missing big chances. A lot of the Oxford fan base is getting too angry and too frustrated, I think, at Mark Harris. There's a moment in the second half, I think with 10 minutes to go, that he plays it back to Kieran Brown. It takes a bounce off Kieran's leg, and Harris has to kind of react, try and get onto it, and he's not able to get it. And a lot of fans around us were being very, very very vitriolic towards Mike Harris, which is just, that's not going to help anyone. It's not going to help him. It's not going to help us. And also, what do you expect him to do? He's not a, he's not a 99 rated player on FIFA. He's got human reaction times, and he's got better reaction times than any of us. Mark Harris, we've proved, he's proved what he can do. Just needs a bit of confidence. Hopefully, we can go away, maybe score a goal with Wales and come back revitalised. Hiddo Turavest, I thought was actually pretty good in the attacking sense, playing down the right hand side with Tyler Goodrum, and yeah, I obviously the chance he misses is unfortunate, but like I said earlier, full credit to Bachmann for his positioning on that one. And the final one is Will Goodwin, Des throwing on a big body to try and, cause some havoc in the area on the set pieces we were getting quite a lot of in that second half. Look, I'm not going to go too much into Will Goodwin, too much critique or anything like that. That's a lad that's, only just getting back into the side after a lengthy injury layoff. I think he did all right. I'm not sure what you do with the 9 position. I don't know whether if Goodwin starts, if Dane continues to play, if Harris, like I say, if he gets a goal in the international break. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you. Thankfully, results went our way this weekend. Obviously, Portsmouth were the only side I think around us that won. I think Coventry might have also. Coventry drew with, of course, they did that. That mad comeback against Sunderland. But around us, Portsmouth the only side that won. So we stay 16th. So we dropped down to 16th, but still outside of the relegation zone by 2 points. It's getting much tighter down there. Portsmouth starting to recover a little bit. Obviously 2 huge games coming up after the international break with Middlesbrough at home and then on a Tuesday night against Sheffield United at Bramall Lane. 2 huge games, 2 very difficult games. If we look at the table, I wouldn't be surprised if we'd lose both of those. And then we've got Millwall, all very tricky games against sides in the top half. Millwall unbeaten in the last 5 games. We're in for hell of a next couple of weeks after the international break. But yes, the international break is next. I think it's something the players need, especially after a 3-game week, just kind of get back to full fitness. But shame that we're still without a win on the road. But let me know your thoughts on Oxford's 1-0 loss at Vicarage Road on Friday night, and we'll see you for a review of the game against Middlesbrough.